Okay, so I'm just going to explain coastal realignment, which is also called managed retreat. So there's a photograph of one here, which can be quite confusing because of the fact it's an aerial photograph and it's hard to see what's going on. But essentially, coastal realignment is allowing some land to be flooded in a managed way, for the sake of protecting high worth land kind of behind it. Now, when you are protecting or traditionally protecting a coastline, so something like a seawall, what we can see here, that has a very hard job because the sea in stormy conditions is still going to have a huge amount of energy when it is here. So the sea defence needs to be high, it needs to be strong, and it needs to be maintained regularly. So that is a very expensive job and sometimes almost impossible. Now, what's been done here is this sea defence is either been actually destroyed or just allowed to break down, or sometimes just a breach is put in it as well. And this that was farmland has been sacrificed to protect this village. And instead of having to have a very expensive, very big, very strong sea defence here, an earthbund can be built instead. So this isn't as strong, it isn't as big, because it doesn't need to be, and I'll explain why in a second. It is much cheaper and actually looks a lot nicer as well, because it's usually got grass on it and it just looks like a kind of small hill. Sometimes you can use rock armour and other things as well to protect it a little bit further, but this doesn't need to be as big and as strong as this, because this area of land here is going to absorb quite a lot of wave energy, so it's going to be very rare that the sea gets to this point. So this area effectively becomes a salt marsh. So during high tide, during storm conditions, it will be more flooded. Low tide conditions, it probably won't be. And salt marsh is actually a really important habitat in the UK, and it's one that was lost quite a lot because the Victorians drained a lot of them. So there's a lot of now rare wildlife that should come to this area, and economically speaking, it can help with the economy as well because it can attract tourists, and obviously we've got the multiplier effect, which means like fish and chip shops and things in this village might get more business and so on. So this is why coastal realignment is stronger, I suppose, or better at protecting areas than things like seawalls in some cases. Obviously, you've got to have the land to sacrifice. So this kind of summarises some of the economic, social, environmental advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, the biggest disadvantage is somebody owns this land, somebody made money off this land, and now they're not anymore, so they need to be compensated in some way or other. And Medmery is a good case study of this as well. Hopefully that helps things make a little bit more sense.